How did I survive a 3 day 4th of July weekend in California with the coroner's office? Stay tuned and find out.
Are you ready for true tales from a real undertaker? Everything from strange situations to crazy paranormal experiences. For over 20 years, Mark Thompson was a funeral director and embalmer working everywhere from California to Japan. Get set to hear about his hauntingly crazy adventures.
Hello, YouTube. I'm Mark. I'm a retired funeral director. I did it for over 20 years. My friends have told me I should put these down into videos because of the interesting stories I've had and experiences. Today, I'm going to talk to you about the 3 day 4th of July weekend that I had. At that time, we were short of people. A lot of people had quit. Um, there was only two of us working that weekend at the swing shift, and they asked if we would do double shift working all night long, which wasn't too big of a deal because a lot of times after midnight it didn't get really busy and you could mostly sleep uh, or watch TV, whatever. As long as the cars were clean and stocked, we were okay. We didn't have to do anything other than that. So a friend of mine, Dan, and I were the ones that worked that weekend. And the first night was not too busy. Um, there were two calls that were kind of different. The first one was this little old lady passed away, and the daughter refused to believe that she had passed away. Well, she kept insisting she was alive, and it didn't help when we put her on the gurney and tried to tighten the strap. Well, she had air in her lungs. So when we tightened it, she made this sound like, and the lady went crazy. She just was like, oh my gosh, she's alive. You know, you don't take her. She's alive. Um, we convinced her finally that no, she was not. And, we went to the funeral home and took her. Um, The second one was really different because it was just bad. Uh, we had not even made the removal, and the family was in the room fighting over the belongings. So, things that were on the shelves, they were yelling, screaming, that's mine, you can't have it. And, there were actually a couple of punches thrown, and the police had to get involved. The police were there because anytime there's a death, you call 911 and they come out. Well, yeah, a couple of people got arrested, and they were fighting over things like pictures and stuff, knickknacks on the wall. Um, but yeah, it wasn't terribly bad. But the second night on Saturday was just horrible. Um, we had a bunch of calls, and we were running just back and forth. And uh, the investigator, she was a lady named Cherry. She was a licensed embalmer. You had to be a licensed embalmer to be an investigator, but you were also a law enforcement agent. So she had a gun and a badge, and of course we had red lights on our cars and stuff. And so yeah, we were really swamped that night, and it was mostly just house calls. Uh, so we're using the lights to go back and forth because there was only the two of us and her. Uh, and we got a call that there was an accident on the freeway. Well, the good thing about California is that they remove the vehicles off the freeway so the traffic can pass. Here in Texas, they'll just shut the whole freeway down. If you got to get to work, that's your problem. Sometimes they close it down for 6, 7 hours here. So the one car hit another, and the car that hit the car ended up over the side of the freeway, and there was three undocumented people in there. Um, they weren't wearing seatbelts, so all three of them died. Uh, the other car, the people were wearing seatbelts, so they were seriously injured and taken to the hospital. But by the time we got there, they had dragged the car off the road and they'd, taken pictures and measured already. So basically, they were just ready for us to go get these people out of the car on the side of the freeway. Well, it was so steep that we had to use a special gurney. Um, it had just these two wheels on the foot end of it. It wasn't like a normal one that you could stand up. It was just two big wheels on the end. We had to go down there, and they had a police vehicle. It was a four-wheel drive, and it had a winch on it. So we had to take the winch and go down there and actually winch each person up on these gurneys. It was very difficult, and here we are, and we had to wear suits, and so here we are in these nice shoes and suits, going up and down the side of this hill. Um, so we got them in the car, and since there was three, we had one gurney that was still left available. At that time, we got a call, and it was somebody unalived themselves, so we had to go, right away. Well, Cherry said, "Follow me, turn on the lights. We're gonna go." And she had the siren on, and we're just, we were going probably 80, 90 miles an hour down the freeway. Um, so we get to this party, and apparently this man had gotten into a fight with his family and friends about something, and he was so upset he went into the house and grabbed a shotgun and stuck it under his chin and unalived himself in front of everybody at the party. There was probably about 50, 60 people at this party. Uh, to say they were traumatized is a is an understatement. Uh, they were going crazy. They, crying. Just it was bad. Uh, the worst part about it was it took us a lot of time because we had to find every little piece because you can't just take off and have them find it the next day, and we're here in the dark doing it with flashlights. um, so we got back to the morgue, and we took these four individuals, put them on tables, we undressed them, put a sheet over them, tagged them, logged in all of their belongings, uh, and then go to. So we get another call to go to a house, and it's a little old Mexican lady that had not seen a doctor. In California, I think it's 90 days. If you haven't seen a doctor in 90 days, you're supposed to have a autopsy done. Um, she had not seen a doctor in probably years. Uh, it was a natural death, we could tell, but of course, she had to be taken to the morgue, and her family was a bunch of gangbangers. They were obvious gangbangers. This was Santa Ana. Uh, we They were telling us, "You're not taking her. You're not going to take her." We went in and we put her on the gurney, and then they refused to let us pass. Well, at this point, Cherry came out, and like I said, she was a small lady. She came out and she had a gun. She was a law officer, so she pushed the gun to the front of her belt and put her hand on it, and she said, "You're going to get out of the way, and you're not going to give me any trouble." And when they saw that, they knew she wasn't messing around, so they moved. Um, we took her to the morgue, and as we were undressing her, we found something taped to her bra. It was duct taped, and it was square. We didn't know what it was. We'd found things on people before like that, usually drugs. So we called her in and we had her, check it out. Well, she got a knife and cut it off, and then she cut open the duct tape. Well, inside was over $9,000 in cash. That might have been some of the reason why they didn't want her to go. Maybe they knew she had it, but it was logged in, and the family did get it back. But yeah, they were real adamant about not letting us take her away. Um, the strange thing about that whole weekend was I had to work with this one lady that was the girlfriend of Richard Ramirez. Now, if you don't recognize that name, uh, he was a killer that they called the Night Stalker in LA in the 80s. Apparently, she was going out with him while he was doing this stuff. And after she found out that he had done this, she didn't break up with him or anything. She was just as crazy. But she ended up getting a pentagram tattooed on her hand like he did. Uh, I heard that later on, after I left, that she had OD'd in the bathroom at work. I'm not sure if she died or not. Nobody told me, but you know, I I worked with some really strange people back then. But yeah, I just thought I would let you guys hear some of my experiences. It might be helpful if you're thinking about getting into the business. Um, if you are, you just have to be ready for anything because you, believe it or not, you're going to be in some weird situations. So, hopefully, you'll give me a thumbs up on this, and I'd like for you to subscribe and share this. Uh, I will come back again next week with another video. Uh, I'll make sure it's something interesting and uh, fun as death can be. But yeah, if you'll check back next week, I'll have something new. So thanks for watching. Bye.